We have a question here that says solve for x in the equation below using completing the square method. We have a quadratic equation here. This is the quadratic equation, and we are asked to solve it using completing the square method. So we are not going to use any other method to solve this problem, but completing the square method. So when you have a problem like this, the first thing you want to do is to identify the coefficient of x squared, which is the leading coefficient. In this case, it is 2. Now, you will need to remove this 2 by dividing through this equation by 2. So if you divide through by 2, this is what you get. 2 divided by 2 will give you 1, and you'll be left with x squared plus 3 divided by 2 becomes 3 all over 2x minus 9 divided by 2 becomes 9 all over 2 equal to 0, because 0 divided by 2 will give you 0. The reason we divide through by 2, or the leading coefficient, is to make sure that the leading coefficient becomes 1, as you can see here, before we start solving further. It is only when you have obtained 1 as the leading coefficient that you solve with completing the square method. Do not solve with a coefficient that is greater than 1 as the leading coefficient. In other words, if you have a question like this, x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals to 0, the leading coefficient here is 1, so feel free to continue solving your problem, because if you divide through by 1, you are still going to get the same thing. But in this case, we needed to make sure that the 2 is out of this coefficient to become x squared. Now, from here, we can solve further. The next thing we want to do is to transfer this negative 9 all over 2 to the right-hand side of the equation, so that we'll be left with only the unknowns. That is, x squared plus 3 over 2x will be equal to positive 9 all over 2, because negative 9 all over 2 crosses over to become positive. At this point, you want to identify the coefficient of x, which is the middle term, and that is 3 all over 2. Once you identify this 3 all over 2, you take half of it, square the result, and add it to both sides of the equation. This is what I mean. You add half of 3 all over 2, this 3 all over 2, half of it, squared everything, and add it to both sides of the equation, the left and the right. And it becomes x squared plus 3 all over 2x plus half of 3 all over 2 is half times 3 all over 2. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 all over 4, then you square it. You are adding it to the left-hand side. You will also add it to the right-hand side for the equation to be balanced. What you do to the left-hand side, you do to the right-hand side. So we added this, and we also added it to the right-hand side. At this point, let's look at the left-hand side only first. This is now a quadratic expression, and the way you resolve this is to compound it. How do you compound? You compound by writing it this way. You pick this x, pick this sign, positive, and pick 3 all over 4, and square everything. It means you take x plus 3 all over 4 all squared. By the time you expand this expression, you are going to get this expression back. So the left-hand side is the same as this. Expand this and you get this. And the right-hand side will be equal to 9 all over 2 plus 3 squared is 9 and 4 squared is 16. So you have 9 all over 16. It's getting simpler. We can now solve the right-hand side, and this reduces to x plus 3 all over 4 all raised to power 2 equal to the LCM of 16 and 2 is 16. 2 divides 16 gives us 8. 8 times 9 is 72. 16 goes into 16 one time, times 9 is 9. And then 72 plus 9 becomes 81. So the equation becomes x plus 3 all over 4 all squared equal to 81 all over 16. We are looking for x, so at this point, we want this square to cross over to the other side. And as it crosses over, it becomes a square root. It's just like taking the square root of both sides of the equation. But remember, when you take the square root of the right-hand side, you introduce plus and minus, because the values of x are going to be 2. This is what we mean. X plus 3 all over 4, you've taken out the square to the other side, becomes equal to plus minus the square root of 81 over 16. And we are going to solve from here. We have x plus 3 all over 4 equals to plus or minus square root 81 all over 16. The square root of 81 is 9 and the square root of 16 is 4. So this becomes x plus 3 all over 4 equal to plus or minus 9 all over 4. We are looking for x, so at this time we can take positive 3 all over 4 to the right hand side so that we make x subject of the formula. That means x will be equal to, when it crosses over, it becomes negative 3 all over 4 plus or minus 9 all over 4. We can now solve from here. X is equals to negative 3 plus or minus 9 all over 4 because 4 is the common denominator, so you can see it here. At this time, we want to get the two values of x. One of them we take positive and the other we take this negative. That's why we have plus minus. So that x will be equals to negative 3 plus 9 all over 4. We've taken the positive, or x equals to negative 3 minus 9 all over 4. We've taken the negative for the second value. So from here, our x will be equal to negative 3 plus 9 is positive 6 all over 4. Or x equal to negative 3, negative 9 gives us negative 12 all over 4. So that our answer becomes x equals to 3 all over 2 when you reduce this to the lowest term, or x will be equal to negative 3 because minus 12 all over 3 is negative 3, and these are the answers to the question. It is very simple but tactical, and this is called completing the square method. I will drop a simple one at the end of this video for you to do, but please follow our page if you have not done so, like and share this video. Now try this one using completing the square method and put your answer in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching this video, and see you in the next video.